There are designers who follow trends, designers who spark them, and then, once in a generation, a designer who reshapes the entire language of fashion itself. Jonathan Anderson is that rare force. From his early days as an outsider in Northern Ireland, dreaming of the theatre, to standing at the helm of two of the industry's most influential brands, Anderson has never simply made clothes. He became a world builder. He blurred the borders between masculinity and femininity. He reframed luxury as craft, not just excess. He made fashion feel both intellectually sharp and playfully surreal, sometimes within the same collection. Today, as he prepares to debut his first collection for Dior Men, it feels like the perfect moment to step back and reflect on how Jonathan Anderson changed fashion. Born in 1984 in Magherafelt, Northern Ireland, his early world was shaped by two opposing forces: the rigour of sports and the fantasy of storytelling. His father was a professional rugby player, but Anderson's passions pointed elsewhere, to the stage. He first pursued acting, enrolling at the Juilliard School in New York City, but backstage, he found himself increasingly drawn to the construction of identity through clothing. Theatricality, symbolism, exaggeration. Anderson understood from the beginning that fashion was not just about aesthetics, it was about narrative. This realisation pushed him to pivot. He moved back to London and enrolled at the London College of Fashion, where his sensibility sharpened into something more tactile. Drama met design, and a new kind of creative language started to take form. In 2008, with no real financial backing and little more than stubborn conviction, Jonathan Anderson launched JW Anderson as a menswear label. The early collections were a jolt to the system. Models wore ruched blouses, tunics that resembled medieval tabards, trousers that wrapped the body like sculpture. Pearls, ruffles, lace, elements that had long been coded as feminine, were repurposed and reframed, not for shock value, but to ask a more fundamental question: why not? A quiet, intellectual dismantling of gender expectations. It wasn't just about putting a skirt on a man that had been done before. It was about how he did it, with a sense of historical reference, poetic tension, and above all, technical respect for the garment. London's underground fashion scene took notice immediately. Fashion East, the incubator that has launched talents like Kim Jones and Grace Wales Bonner, championed him. By 2010, critics and buyers were already calling him one of the most important new voices in menswear, even though most people didn't quite know how to wear his clothes yet. And that was exactly the point. Anderson didn't dress men as they were, he dressed them as they could be. As the 2010s unfolded, Anderson's ideas didn't just ripple across the fashion landscape, they detonated. By 2010, Anderson began introducing women's wear capsules into his collections, almost experimentally at first. The response was electric. Fashion insiders, buyers, and critics hailed the collections for their subversive simplicity. Fluid tunics, crisp shirting reimagined with a sly twist, skirts cut with the severity of a men's blazer. His approach to women's wear wasn't about feminizing or softening, it was about destabilizing the very idea of gendered clothing. In 2013, his Topshop collaboration sold out almost immediately, marking one of the first major high street ex-designer partnerships that felt culturally urgent rather than commercially forced. There was real demand, he had successfully developed a cult following. Anderson wasn't just riding the growing wave of modern genderless fashion, he was building whole areas of this movement. He joined the likes of Jean-Paul Gaultier, Rick Owens and Vivienne Westwood in anticipating the mainstreaming of gender fluidity in fashion. Through JW Anderson, he made the proposition clear. Clothes do not belong to a gender. They belong to an attitude, a feeling, a form of self-expression beyond binaries. By the mid-2000s teens, it was evident. Jonathan Anderson wasn't a promising newcomer. He was a generational force, reshaping fashion's very foundations. In 2013, LVMH tapped Anderson for what seemed at first like an odd appointment. Creative director of Loewe, a Spanish leather goods house with a rich heritage but a sleepy global profile. Almost immediately, Anderson set about re-engineering Loewe's DNA. "I didn't want to rebrand," he told Business of Fashion in 2015. "I wanted to reframe." He reimagined the brand not through slogans, but through substance, taking Loewe's legacy of craftsmanship and pushing it into new conceptual, playful realms. He oversaw the redesign of the house's anagram Paris, lending a modernist energy to the brand's visual identity. Anderson's first big hit, the puzzle bag, launched in 2015, a marvel of geometric construction and supple leatherwork that became an instant it bag and an enduring staple. Beyond product, he reoriented Loewe's cultural compass, launching the annual Loewe Craft Prize to celebrate artisanal talent worldwide, and collaborating with photographers, ceramicists, and painters to embed artistry into every facet of the brand. Sales followed. Under Anderson, Loewe's revenue grew from €230 million in 2014 to over €1.1 billion by 2024, a profound transformation. Naturally, comparisons began. People thought that Loewe would become the new Celine. However, Anderson wasn't trying to overtake another brand. He was carving out a new lane entirely. Jonathan Anderson has consistently challenged the boundaries of fashion, transforming everyday items into high-concept art pieces that provoke thought and conversation. His approach turns fashion into a medium for surreal storytelling, where objects are not just accessories, but statements. One of the most talked about pieces is the JW Anderson pigeon clutch. This hyper-realistic accessory, resembling a common city pigeon, blurs the line between the mundane and the luxurious. Anderson explained his inspiration. "I wanted an element of something a bit silly in the collection, a contrast to the situation at the time. Fashion has this great way of allowing us to escape reality." Anderson told Harper's Bazaar, "Pigeons are such a funny symbol in the landscape of metropolitan life, something that's so easily recognised and relatable for citizens in nearly every city in the world. They really are the most successful bird." In another bold move, Anderson introduced balloon heels, shoes with heels shaped like inflated balloons. This design plays with perceptions of weight and structure, adding a whimsical touch to high fashion. Anderson's trompe-l'oeil dresses use optical illusions to create garments that appear to be something they're not, challenging viewers' perceptions and expectations. These creations are not mere novelties. They are part of a broader movement that Anderson leads, absurdist luxury. This trend embraces the unconventional, inviting audiences to find beauty and meaning in the unexpected design. Through these groundbreaking designs and the ripple effect they've had on the industry, Jonathan Anderson has redefined what luxury fashion can be: transformative, thought-provoking, and delightfully surreal. In 2017, Jonathan Anderson embarked on a groundbreaking collaboration with Uniqlo, marking a pivotal moment in the fashion industry. This partnership wasn't just a designer lending his name to a high street brand, it was a fusion of avant-garde design with mass-market accessibility. Anderson has been a key figure in democratizing fashion. His vision was clear: to make high-quality design accessible. Despite the mass-market platform, Anderson maintained his design integrity. The collections featured thoughtful details and high-quality materials, ensuring that the essence of JW Anderson's aesthetic was wear. This collaboration set a new standard for designer partnerships, proving that it's possible to maintain creative authenticity while reaching a balance and accessibility. In the midst of the pandemic, when traditional fashion shows were rendered impossible, Jonathan Anderson reimagined the runway experience with an innovative concept: the show in a box. This tactile, immersive presentation was sent directly to editors, buyers, and influencers, offering a new way to engage with fashion during unprecedented inspiration. Fabric swatches and patterns, allowing recipients to feel the materials and even recreate pieces. Cut-out puppets and miniature sets, enabling a hands-on exploration of the collection's themes. A cardboard record player with a vinyl of the show's soundtrack, adding an auditory dimension to the experience. This approach was inspired by Marcel Duchamp's Museum in a Box, aiming to make art, and in this case fashion, accessible and personal. Reflecting on this initiative, Anderson stated, "The future will eventually unfold, but I am interested in the now. Fashion is ultimately about the present." He emphasized the importance of staying creative and finding solutions that resonate with the current moment. The show in a box was more than a creative workaround. It set a new standard for how fashion could be presented. Integrating play, prioritizing tactility and personal engagement over digital screens, Anderson challenged the industry to think differently about storytelling and audience connection. This innovative approach not only addressed the immediate challenges posed by that time, but also opened new avenues for how fashion could be experienced, making it more intimate and interactive. Jonathan Anderson's creative pursuits extend far beyond the traditional boundaries of fashion. In 2017, he curated the exhibition Disobedient Bodies at the Hepworth Wakefield, a project that explored the human form through a dialogue between fashion, art, and design. The exhibition juxtaposed works by artists such as Jean Arp, Louise Bourgeois, and Henry Moore, with fashion pieces from designers like Rei Kawakubo, Helmut Lang, and Anderson himself. This curation challenged viewers to reconsider the intersections of these disciplines. I want to challenge the way we compartmentalize art, fashion, and craft to see things afresh. This philosophy permeates his work at Loewe, where he transformed the brand into an artistic ecosystem. Collaborations with artists, the establishment of the Loewe Craft Prize, and the integration of art into product design reflect his commitment to blurring the line. Between 2021 and 2023, we saw Loewe take on one of the most imaginative and playful collaborations the industry has ever seen. A trilogy of limited edition capsule collections with Studio Ghibli, honouring My Neighbour Totoro, Spirited Away, and Howl's Moving Castle. Each collection fused Ghibli iconic storytelling with Loewe's craftsmanship, from Totoro emblazoned puzzle bags to intarsia knits featuring Chihiro and hand-stitched recreations of Howl's magical world. Anderson described the work as handcrafted virtual reality in wearable form. More than fan service, these collaborations redefined how luxury brands could embrace pop culture without losing artistic integrity. In an era where commercial tie-ins risked feeling shallow, Anderson proved fashion could pay homage to beloved narratives while elevating them into collectible, artisanal objects through sheer quality and craftsmanship. In short, he didn't just license nostalgia, he curated it. After an 11-year tenure at Loewe, Jonathan Anderson was appointed as the artistic director of Dior Men in April 2025. This transition marks a significant moment in his career and in the fashion industry. Dior, known for its structured masculinity and romanticism, now welcomes Anderson's cerebral and gender-fluid aesthetic. Industry insiders are keenly observing how Anderson will reinterpret Dior's menswear. His debut collection is scheduled for Paris Fashion Week in June 2025, and expectations are high for a blend of Dior's heritage with Anderson's innovative vision. Jonathan Anderson has risen to prominence owning his position as one of fashion's great modern surrealists, a master of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary, the mundane into moving theatre. For Anderson, clothes are never just clothes. They are acts of storytelling, sculptures in motion, dreams you can wear. Every collection he creates, whether for JW Anderson, Loewe, or Dior, begins not with garments, but with ideas. Bold, strange, poetic ideas that live between art, craft, and fantasy. He sees the world differently, not as a series of trends to chase, but as a stage for grand, absurdist beauty. A pigeon becomes a luxury clutch. A balloon becomes a heel. A fairy tale castle becomes a wearable sculpture. In Anderson's hands, fashion becomes a form of surreal architecture, meticulously crafted, flamboyantly imaginative, and utterly unafraid to be joyful. More than any of his peers, Jonathan Anderson understands that fashion's true power lies not in decorating reality, but in reinventing it. He puts art before commerce, theatre before utility, and fantasy before conformity, and yet somehow he makes it all feel irresistibly modern. In a world that often demands fashion be serious, practical, predictable, Jonathan Anderson reminds us that it can and should be a form of magic. And for that, he will be remembered not simply as a great designer, but as one of fashion's most daring. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time.